and I heard my name called over the intercom service, and said, Chris Humphrey, down to the office. I went down to the office, and my mom was there, and I had asked her, what are you doing here? Is there a doctor's appointment or something I wasn't aware of? And she said, no. The Secret Service, Michigan State Police, local police, and Michigan Bell, which is the telecom company, had raided my house, and she was there to pick me up. So she took me back to the house, and I walked into the house, and all my computers were torn apart. And the worst part was I had a Playboy that was hidden in a box of printer paper that was pulled out, and my parents had seen the Playboy. And I had hacked into a company called TRW. TRW is, at the time, was the world's largest credit repository system, which is now the equivalent of Equifax, TransUnion, or Experian, which many people may know from getting your credit pulled. So I was hacking at a young age. I grew up in Michigan, and a lot of cold winters. My dad had bought me a computer, a TRS-80 from Radio Shack, and then I had, I think it was an Apple IIe and a 286. My name was Megabyte One, and I had walked into the house, and all the computers were torn apart, and they had taken all the computers, and from that day, everything changed. My life changed. So I was all over national news, global news, and I had lost a lot of my friends the next day. Parents didn't want their children hanging out with Chris. I picked up some new friends. I had interest from the U.S. military and different things like that had wanted to sit down and talk with me about everything that I was doing in computers and wanted to recruit me into the military.
Wow. Okay, wait. Okay. So they wanted to recruit, and you were 12 years old at the time?
I was 12.
Okay, and
It
then
was
what
April
happened?
26, 1990. This was before the internet. Some people may remember America Online, Prodigy, CompuServe, bulletin board systems, modems, actually having to dial out and connect. So this was right before the internet and everything had started.
So don't end there. So what happens next? So you have all this police at your house, they're raiding your computers. U.S. military is interested in hiring you. What happens next? What does Chris go after this?
So, the premise was I just had a lot of time on my hands, and computers were very interesting. Getting in and just being able to learn to access different systems, get into different things. Security levels were low. I was watching a lot of ninja movies, Michael Jackson. I used to dress up in ninja outfits and go out and tap into people's phone lines, or what else were we doing? I was socially engineering access into TRW. So what do I mean by that? So I was calling companies that were actually pulling people's credit reports. In this instance, I was calling car dealerships. So I was calling like a Ford dealership where people would go in to buy their cars, and I would call up and say, hey, my name's Christopher Johnson. I'm calling from TRW Customer Protect Service. While we were transferring your files to the main database in Denver, your files got misconstrued with the Chevy dealership up the street. You guys cannot pull credit for the next 2 hours of customers coming in. Please call me back at this phone number and have your TRW account number and password ready. So they would call me back. I already had the phone number to be able to log in to the back end of the system. And then from there, we'd be able to dial in, and I still remember it was TMI space DFD space 2460410, comma, address, first letter of street name, zip code, control S, and then we had everything. What I mean by everything, some people may have heard of something called truncation. Truncation is when you go to a gas station or run your card, you typically see 12 stars, and then you see the last 4 digits of your card. When we were able to access TRW, we had the full 16-digit account numbers, social security numbers, everything. And then from there, we were able to buy things, sell things, also like cards. You got the magnetic strip on the back Now you have something called EMV chip on the front. But before they had EMV, we were able to just reprogram the back of the strip and put another account number on it. So that's kind of like the beginning of my hacking story. From then my father had, we had to engage an attorney. My dad knew what I was doing, not to the total extent, but he was just happy I was home playing with computers, learning technology at such a young age that I was spending up to 8 hours, 10 hours during a school days, and then 12 to 14 hours on weekends, doing this, getting into different systems, setting up something called bulletin board systems, and we would hack into the news station. We would cancel school. I would cancel school saying there's too much snow on the road. The buses can't go by. School would be canceled. Teachers were scared. They didn't know if I could run up their credit cards or do this or that. I was actually banned from the payphones and being able to use a payphone because they didn't know what I was doing. Back then, there was no voice over IP. There was no ability to be able to talk to friends. Even in another state was very expensive. I grew up in Michigan. To call a friend in California or somebody, very expensive, or make international calls, very expensive. So we were doing something then also called phreaking. Phreaking was the art of being able to make free phone calls. So I also did something called blue box tones. So I had the ability to be able to create the sound of a nickel, a dime, or a quarter with a suction cup on a device that I could then go up to a payphone and be able to hold it up to the payphone and hit quarter, 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 and it thinks that there's money going into the phones.
This must be the most exciting introduction I've ever heard. Okay, keep going. This is crazy.
So at that point, computers were taken.
How old are you now? So this is still 12. This is still all 12. This is when your computers were taken away?
I'm 48. I'll be 49 May 10th.
No. I'm sorry. 12. So when your computers get taken away, how old are you? 12?
12, yeah.
12, okay. And then what happens? What do you do? How crazy does that make you?
Yeah, so they took the computers and they didn't even know what hacking was at that time. When I walked into the house, when they brought me back from school, they looked at me and they're like, is this really the guy that got into all this stuff? And they just couldn't believe it. And they had taken the computers. My dad had wanted me to go get a job at a computer store. So before I went up in front of the judge, the idea was Chris made a mistake. He's now working at a computer store, learning to do good with the skill set that he has with computers. My dad had walked into a computer store and say, hey, this happened to my kid. I know this seems a little strange, but I'd like him to come to work for you for free. I'll pay him and just come in and teach him how to build computers, work on computers, et cetera, et cetera. I remember walking into the store and the gentleman just says he couldn't believe that I was there, and he's like, what's going on? And he had asked, can I do it again? And I had started to get back into getting into TRW and doing some things. And I remember my attorney calling my parents' house and said that the Secret Service had called them up and said, hey, I think Chris is kind of back at it again. So at that point, kind of went through the legal process.
Wait a second. Can I interrupt? Did you go
Sure.
back? So they took away the computer, and then you found a way to go back and continue doing this?
Well, they took away the computer, but I still knew the art of social engineering on how to get access still into TRW and kind of do that type of stuff. This guy who owned the computer store had wanted me to help him buy, I think it was photography equipment, or to do some different things. Or a lot of people are like, hey, can you wipe out my credit card balance and put me down to zero, or different things like that.
And you were able to do that?
No, I wasn't able to wipe out balances, but we did have access to everybody's card and be able to do whatever you wanted to do with the cards. So a lot of times there was other hackers. I had a hacking syndicate that I created called HPS, which was Hackers Phreakers Syndicate. So hacking was the art of getting into systems, phreaking was the art of making free phone calls. And so a lot of times people would have access to different systems, and it was like a bartering between the hackers. So some people would exchange credit card numbers for access to other systems and different things like that.
Wow. Okay. All right. So you're doing this. Have you ever done any work for the U.S. government, for the military, for this, or no?
No,
You said it
I was actually, I was going into the Navy, and I had ADD, and I was taking ADD medications and stuff like that, so I got disqualified from going into the military due to that.
Okay.
But that was the interest. And then after that, I was 13, 14 years old, going into middle school, and I kind of pulled back from computers and just kind of wanted to be a kid again. And normal again, and hang out with the guys and different things like that. And that was kind of the end of the hacking side of things.
So I want to take a step back because I don't think we interview normal people on this podcast, because everybody who we do interview are business people, and I don't think that makes us normal in the first place. How did school feel for you after going through all this craziness and seeing the power that you have? Because honestly, it is a power. To give you an example, when I was a kid, I wanted to be a hacker because that was a cool thing talked about, but it's such a complex world and all the craziness associated with it. You obviously had a gift. You obviously had something that most kids did not have. How was school for you? Like, was it just boring as heck just because it was so simple, or no?
No, school was hard for me. School was hard for me, always. Yeah, school was always hard for me. Completing tasks, being able to sit through classes day in and day out. I really just didn't have an interest in a lot of the things, right? A lot of the things that were taught. I accelerated in things that were of interest to me, which most of the things, learning about history or English or different things like that, just didn't really move the needle for me. So getting through middle school and graduating high school was complicated. I mean, I remember my grades being low, and I had to get a weekly report card, so I had to actually walk around to all of my teachers every single week and have them fill out how Chris is doing. I was kind of a troubled kid. Not a troubled kid, but I just, I didn't feel like I really fit into the system, so to say.
It's funny because I hear that a lot. I hear that from most of my guests, that I think entrepreneurs in general, they're just not a good fit for school. And let's actually deviate here a little bit and talk about school. So right now you are raising a baby, a girl. How old is your daughter?
My daughter, she'll be 4 on July 8th.
4. So I was gonna say baby girl, yeah. So I know
Yep.
that. And obviously you're thinking about schooling. Talk to me about what do you feel like doing? Is it gonna be homeschooling? Is it gonna be regular schooling? Where's your head at based on what you went through?
Yeah, I mean, I think the world's changing. A lot of things are obviously changing in most areas of the world, education being one of them. And I feel like there's a lot of things changing. I mean, especially with the era of entrepreneurship and this type of thing. I mean, most schools are built to teach you how to pass tests, to complete classes, to do remembering things and kind of that type of stuff. And then you go to college, and then push you into a typically the corporate world, right? Right now, Mia, yeah, and even going back before I touch on Mia, I mean, for me, I held a couple regular jobs. I went into a couple jobs, and most of them I left at lunchtime, and I never come back. It wasn't for me. And I remember my dad wanting to teach me the value of $1, and there was a construction company across the street building really big houses where I worked at. And so my dad went over there again and said, "Hey, my son will work for you for free. I want to teach him a trade. I want to teach him, hard work, doing different things like that." And it wasn't for me. I remember also I was still kind of hacking or doing kind of some mischievous things. Since the construction company wasn't paying me, I was doing hard labor and stuff like that. I told him, and my dad would never come over and check. I would tell him I was on a tennis league, or I had to leave early today to go to the tennis tournament, or different things like that. But I got into entrepreneur at a very young age, getting into all different types of different things that we can touch on. But going back to your question regarding my daughter, so yeah, she'll be 4. I have her in a Christian bilingual school right now here in Medellin, which is right up the road from where I'm at. Super happy. So I'm separated from her mom, so we co-parent. I have Mia half the week, and she's with her mom the other days. I love being a dad. I never thought that. I also have a 28-year-old daughter that lives in Dallas, but I never thought I would have a daughter here that her first language is Spanish, and I speak pretty good Spanish. And I said from the day that she was born that I knew that she would speak better English than her mom and better Spanish than me, and it's come very true. So it's just every day I wake up and it's like, wow, I never thought that I actually had to learn another language just to talk to my own daughter, right? But I've spoken English with Mia from day one, and so she absolutely understands everything. She's in a bilingual school that teaches English. I also have her going a couple hours extra a week to reinforce English, and then my goal is to continue to reinforce her friends, expats from other countries living here that have, American children, European children, other things like that, to kind of reinforce the English and that type of stuff. But it's been a beautiful process.
Love that, man. We'll get back to your daughter in just a minute. Let's talk about you as an entrepreneur. So in the introduction, I did talk about you being, you're running the show at Data One Merchant Services, which is a platform that's, according to your website, is moving hundreds of millions in transactions every year. And what really got my attention, what I really want to focus on this episode, and I think is going to be the biggest takeaway, is that you're not just processing payments. You're rebuilding the entire playbook of the industry with AI, right? And doing it all from Medellin, Colombia. So this is a very interesting part of your story. I would love to dive into it. But before we do, I want to really just make sure that everybody understands. So Chris, every single business owner knows that, there's credit card payments, there's every single business in the world accepts payments and accepts money. And most of them have no freaking idea how, according, I think, to you when we talk, how broken the process actually is behind the scenes. Now, you've spent over a decade in this world, which is great. What, first of all, pulled you into this industry, if you don't mind?
Sure. So what got me very interested in it, I've been in the payment space for now about 15 years, was I was in all different types of sales, from mortgages to houses to selling cars to selling suits, Men's Warehouse, to selling paintballs when I was little, to all different types of things in sales. What really attracted me to this business was I had no idea that you had the ability to be able to work with pretty much every business in the United States for the most part, whether it's in-person payments, meaning you physically walk into a place and you hand over a card, or what we call card not present payments, meaning the card isn't present, you're either typing it onto like an e-commerce site or doing something like that. But what really attracted me to was the breadth of opportunities across all these different verticals, whether it's restaurant, retail, healthcare, e-commerce, all this different stuff. And I've always liked to travel. I've always had a good network of people that I know, that most of them are business owners, and everybody takes pretty much cards, and there's some cash, but cards have been moving in that direction, and less cash. And what really attracted me to it was there's very few industries that have the ability to be able to make reoccurring revenue, right? Insurance is some, there's a couple industries like that. And what I learned as an entrepreneur at a young age is whether you want to be a doctor, an attorney, whatever it is, there's two things I've noticed is either people have a lot of time and no money, or people have a lot of money and no time. So the idea was for me was to find a business or find an industry that would allow me to be able to have both, right? So we have clients that have been with Data One for 12, 13 years that I'm still being paid 24 hours a day. They're swiping transactions. We're making pennies, nickels, dimes, dollars that end up adding up over time. Can be very substantial. So the idea for me was to get into a business where I'm not restricted to a specific area. If you sell houses in Palm Beach County, that's typically your target market, right? You might do Broward County, you're probably not going as far as Dade, different things like that. So the ability to be able to work with a lot of different business types across a lot of different verticals was very interesting to me. The technology piece is very interesting, and come full circle, like I was with credit cards back then, I'm back with credit cards now because the system we had gotten into was TRW. And then really just getting into the industry and watching the industry evolve from being a simple terminal on a side of a business that most people don't understand how payments work, which I'll get into. But before, it was simply a terminal that's next to your machine that you swipe, and then the funds end up going into an account. But even being down here in Medellin and working with a lot of very sophisticated entrepreneurs that make a lot of money, even at their level, I find that a lot of people really don't understand how the back end of payments actually work. They know they need to take them, but all the different steps that kind of happen in the back end, they don't really understand how it works. And each industry has lots of different pain points. Retail is different than restaurants. So what's happened is the industry's moving away from a simple terminal to now taking multiple systems across multiple systems that businesses use and consolidating into one system that does everything, right? What can I say?
Let me ask you a question so that I want to make sure everybody understands. So, for example, I'll buy a $5 coffee with my credit card. I swipe the credit card. Walk me through what actually happens with that money, with me swiping the credit card, because it doesn't just go directly to the coffee shop, right?
No. So what it does is typically, I might miss a few steps, but I mean, it goes out. So in our space, there's called issuing banks and there's acquiring banks. Issuing banks issue cards. So it's the cards that you have in your wallet, right? They issue debit cards, they issue credit cards, that type of thing. So those are called issuing banks, okay? We work on something called acquiring banks. So we are the banks that transfer the funds from the issuing banks and ultimately settle into the merchant's bank account, okay? And there may be, there's something called interchange fees. So it's all a Visa, but there might be 20, 30 different types of visas, and they all have different costs associated with them, right? So most people don't understand. You may have a Visa debit card, you may have just a regular Visa with no points or corporate rewards or different things tied to it. Then you get into corporate cards, you get into other things like American Express where you got points, airline programs, and all this different stuff. Most people don't understand that it's the merchant, the business owner, who's absorbing these fees that actually pay for their cardholders to be able to, in the banks, to be able to issue these types of programs and be able to give back to the customers. So when a customer goes in to buy that $5 coffee that you talked about, they swipe the card, it goes to the issuing bank and it reviews, does Antone have the $5 on his card, right? That's called an authorization. The authorization, then that business runs multiple authorizations throughout the day for their customers. these authorizations capture the funds on the card saying Antone has the $5, and it kind of blocks off that $5, okay, on the card. And then at the end of the night, there's multiple steps that it goes through with Visa, MasterCard, that then at the end of the night, when the business owner then closes out their batch or closes out, you know, their business for the day, it then takes these authorizations that they captured and they settle the transaction. So then if you log into your bank account under your credit card, you'll see where it says authorization or pending, right? And then at the end of the night, or the next day, it posts, and it actually becomes a firm transaction once those settle.
That makes sense. So that's why it's pending, because we're waiting for the business owner to actually consolidate it and then close it. That makes sense. And then you're saying
so they take multiple authorizations throughout the day, and then when the business owner batches or closes his business for the day, it bundles all of these authorizations, and then it actually it settles, and it goes from an authorization to you know, a settled transaction.
When did you start this business?
I started the business back in 2011, 2012.
Well, for some reason, I thought on the website it does reference back to 2009. Was 2009 like when you got into the business?
What year are we in?
2026 right now.
Yeah, it might have been 2010, but yeah, right around 2009, 2010. I was doing sales before for another company, but I actually formed Data One myself probably around 2010, 2011.
The reason I ask is because that was around the same time that I moved to Miami, Florida from Arizona. I had a finance degree. My dream was to get into the bank. You know, I watched The Wolf of Wall Street. I wanted to be the banker, make you know, the Wall Street good life. And then the reason why I asked this is because I remember vividly how in a bad of a position banks were in general. Like, banks were not in a good position. 2009, 2010, the collapse happened in 2008, and you decide to start a business that is around the banking industry. What led you to it? Like, I mean, what was the logic behind it, and how did you say, like, man, this is actually a collapsing industry, but I'm going to go ahead and take opportunity in this?
Yeah, I mean, payments aren't going anyways, aren't going anywhere. People need to accept payments, and you know, the credit card industry just it was a service that everybody obviously needs to be able to. It's the lifeline of their business. So I think from that perspective, to me, it was recession proof. There's also other ancillary things that we got into because the industry moved from, I did not want to it become very commoditized. So the whole industry was based on, hey, Antone, some verticals are more saturated than other. Restaurant, retail, people that have a lot of foot traffic, people coming in, hey, Antone, who to use for your payments provider, show me a statement, let me see if I can save you a couple dollars, I'll come back. I come back to you, hey, Antone, I can save you $200 a month. You switch. Then the next guy comes in, you know, 2 months later, hey, Antone, hey, I actually just switched over to my buddy Chris, but I'll let you take a look at my statements. So the margins got very compressed down because everybody was selling simply on price, okay? What I also noticed in this industry, which also made it very attractive to me, is if I walked into 50 or 100 business owners and I said, hey, do you have a relationship with the people that, you know, do your payments or technology infrastructure? Most people don't, because really the majority of this business is controlled by the big banks. It's a very competitive industry. So whether it's Wells, Chase, B of A, et cetera, a lot of times most of the merchants have walked in to open up a bank account for their pizzeria or for their bagel shop or for their hair salon, open up a bank account, and then the banker obviously says, hey, Antone, I see you're opening up a new business bank account. I assume you probably also need to accept payments. Can we have somebody call you, give you a terminal? And that's really what it did. But most of the relationship stops there. Most of the relationship never continues once they get you set up with payments. To me, this is where the relationship begins, is being able to have a relationship with the business owner for the life of their business, right? For a variety of reasons. For obviously referrals, for being able to cross-sell into other value-added services such as lending, gift cards, now banking as a service, buy now, pay later, a lot of these different services. So for me, I wanted to understand, hey, how do I position myself away from these other companies, and really what I call a hub and spoke model is, the hub is Data One, and the spokes are the different services or different value added services that I can assist these people in creating value, not just as a person that can save them a couple dollars, but be their leader and be their consultant or be their business partner for the life of their business. Because most business owners, as we know, you go to work for 10 or 12 hours a day, you come home, you spend a little bit of time with your family, maybe go do some errands or something like that, you go to bed, you wake up, and you do it all over again. Most people don't understand, how payments works, how technology works, and so being able to have a trusted advisor that can guide them and be able to look at the different things and being able to create the right payment system for the business owner is really where I feel our strong focus is, and where I'm continue to focus on creating value for our customers.
I can tell you're very passionate about that side of the business. It's not just about getting customers, but it's also about building that relationship and getting them. It's long term, and that's 100% true.
Yeah, a lot of people are, like most businesses, either penny wise or pound foolish, right? A lot of people are looking to bang people over the head and make a quick dollar, and not really doing the right thing for the customer. We're looking to put people in with what's best for them and creating a long-term relationship.
Love that. All right, let's get into the AI stuff. AI.
Sure.
Everybody's talking about AI these days. So, and I don't want like the pitch deck version. I don't want the sales person version. I want the real version. What is it that you're actually doing right now in Data One, and how is AI being used? Maybe something that you've launched this week or last week, since we're recording this on a Monday, that you're excited about, where AI is helping your business and then your clients as well.
Yeah, I'll tell you a story about entrepreneurship, and there's a lot of struggles that obviously go into entrepreneurship. I never ended up going to college, so I didn't have any formal education about contracts, business laws, different things like that. And I've made every type of mistake under the sun over the course of this business, and had bad business partners that stole money. I didn't understand operating agreements. I didn't understand equity, vesting schedules. I didn't understand any of these types of things. And over the past 3 years, I've been dealing with a business partner that's took money, stole a lot of things, and my legal expenses have been high, okay? And it's taken away a lot of cash flow that I wanted to use for paid advertising, for recruiting top C-level people, and different things like that. So when I've seen, obviously I was an early adapter to ChatGPT, watching all that progress, and now recently Claude, OpenClaw, all these different types of things, AI has really helped me level up and be able to create agents for different departments to help accelerate different workflows, being able to streamline marketing departments, create content, review content, a lot of these different things from my business, right? So we've been implementing AI. I actually went out, I got 3 Mac Minis, and I have it's called a DGX NVIDIA. It's a computer that's built specifically for AI. We're still in the process of configuring everything and getting everything set up and testing the different things. But even in the past week, you said to talk about something I've recently done. So yeah, we've been building out a sales support bot, because our current business model has traditionally been 1099 contractors in the United States, which is how most of these payments industries have been built, are feet on the street, people walking in to business owners and having relationships with them. Obviously, me being down here in Columbia and being a part of Entrepreneur House and being around a lot of successful entrepreneur people has just taught me a lot of different things on how I wanted to kind of reposition Data One and do acquisition, because our current model, we were paying out industry standard for people in the payment space. You could be paid out anywhere from 50 to 80% of the revenue, right? Because we've never been running ads going directly to the merchants. All of our merchants have been brought to me from what we call 1099 agents or people in the industry that we then share the residual revenue with them every single time, right? So living down here, having access to the beautiful people of Colombia, very educated people, they call Medellin the Silicon Valley of South America, a lot of tech people, a lot of marketing. It's just been a beautiful experience of being around all of these people, coupled and parlayed with Entrepreneur House and where we met Antone, and learning about paid ads and advertising and creating value content for the merchants, or in my mind, and for my area, it's for the merchants. So it's been a really interesting learning experience now, because the problem for me and how do I scale from being in Colombia, since we touch on so many different verticals within payments, they all have different pain points, there's all different technologies, there's a lot of different things. So how do I scale up a sales team that knows all these different issues with different types of verticals, right? So I'm really leaning into creating a lot of knowledge base, creating knowledge bases around our sales bots and everything like that, really working up. So if we have somebody that calls in for a beauty, they know how to speak to the beauty industry, different, to be able to address that. Because if not, I was saying, hey, if we're going to build up a sales team down here, we need them to focus in on one vertical, because they can't be taking calls from different businesses. It's going to be impossible to scale, right? And how do I solve this, right? And we're still figuring it out. We're still new to it. But the idea is obviously to be able to leverage AI. I don't know if they're going to be doing, obviously, inbound, warmer type of leads would be much better leveraged with current AI for inbound sales calls versus outbound, because there's obviously a lot of laws around being able to do outbound cold sales and stuff like that. But for me, being able to really create this infrastructure around AI, the different verticals, the different pain points, being able to offer different solutions and that type of stuff is really something I'm focused in around sales. And then obviously automating different other parts of my industry, other parts of my business, such as operations, workflows, onboarding, and kind of that type of stuff. And it's just amazing to be able to watch it come together, right? Because as an entrepreneur, there's a lot of moving pieces, right? It's you gotta every day you just have to wake up. To me, it's kind of like looking at a jigsaw puzzle or a combination of the safe, right? I mean, you can have 4 digits out of the 5 digits to the safe, but the door's not popping open unless you got them all 5 right? So it's really learning to dial in the safe and having that door pop open, because you can have a Ferrari with one broken wheel, that Ferrari's not going anywhere. So really learning in this new digital way of doing business on how all these systems talk, work, and things like that, and really being able to automate and being able to have these things working 24 hours, 7 days a week, doing things, building, creating value for the company, and really just building in the right infrastructure of systems and processes and things like that. And I think AI is it's an amazing time to be an entrepreneur. Even if you don't have money, it's never been an easier time to get out there and get in the game. So
completely agree. Here's what I'm the most interested in. So we started this podcast with you at 12 years old, going in and hacking Experian, Equifax, and to a level.
Tier W was called, yeah.
Yes, to a level things that U.S. military was actually looking at you to bring you in. Now, this was back then. Now we have AI. Can you walk me through what's going on in your head, in your brain? Because I really think you have a very unique brain to be able to do the things that you've done in terms of the payphones, the hacking, and now you got into the data processing, which is a very complex field, and now AI is on the quote unquote on the playing field. What is going on in your mind, and do you apply the same type of strategic thinking that you did back in the hacking world to now AI world, because everything's so new?
Yeah, for me, there's a window of opportunity to be able to take some market share, because like I said before, a lot of our industry is controlled by a lot of the banks, right? And banks have hundreds of thousands of employees and things like that, and it isn't as easy for them to be able to implement in these systems because a lot of people's jobs are potentially on the line and going to be lost, right? So for me, this is a very big year for growth for businesses that I'm working, 12, 14 hours a day, learning how to leverage and learn everything I can about AI and implementing it into my business, and just from all different areas, because I think, or I know this is a window where over the next year there's going to be a lot more people learning and stuff like that for me to be able to really be able to run with this and be able to kind of get out ahead of the competition and different things like that. So,
is your 12-year-old inner child excited about all this? Like, you're like, oh man, we're back on this crazy route that like not many people understand.
I feel very comfortable with everything that's going on, and it's super cool to be able to do it. And I would just encourage, everything is accessible to everybody, and just get in there. Don't be analysis to paralysis. Get in there, tinker with it, play with it, talk. You can talk to it. You don't have to understand coding. A lot of this is advanced stuff, and it's just amazing to, I think, just get in the game, right? And just a lot of analysis to paralysis and people not thinking, or hey, I'm too late, or things like that. This is the time. This is the time for so many people to be able to level up, and even for average people that have no money, that have no backing, to be able to really get in and be able to create something great for them and for their family.
Love that, man. That's awesome. Last question. Forget about Data One. Forget about payments. Forget about AI, all of it. When you really zoom out in your life, what are you actually building for you?
I don't know. It's not for me. For me, it's for my family. It's for my daughter, and it's also to be able to help other entrepreneurs, because it's been a long road. It's been a struggle, and really being able to get back to the younger generation, and trying to create something. What I really want to do, I'm not there yet, but I've seen the payment industry, people making hundreds of millions, billions of dollars on exits, from pennies, nickels, quarters, that all add up to a lot of money. And really what I want to do is be able to leverage this for social impact, and being able to use the payments industry to drive major change, and really being able to work with people doing good work it could be anything, food, housing, technology, and things like that, and being able to align with foundations or nonprofits or ministries to be able to create a marketplace for me, where we were, like I mentioned before, Antone, giving away 50 to 80% of our revenue to salespeople, and for me to be able to If you're passionate about human trafficking or feeding or the U.S. vets and giving back, being able to have merchants that want to make a difference and being able to direct a portion of my revenue on every single transaction to drive impact back to make a difference in the world. Because at the end of the day, I think the technology's there and the world needs a lot of help. And so trying to be a part of leveraging my business and really driving social change is something that I'm really passionate about and being able to get back.
Chris, I would love to have you back because I think you have a phenomenal story. There's so many things that we didn't talk about, including your plant medicine, you did mention something about the business partner situation, which I love to talk about on these podcasts. I just want to make sure that we have enough time. So I'll bring you back for sure, because those things are very much important. But I do like to finish every single episode with 4 rapid fire questions that I ask every single guest on this show. So don't think about these too much. Whatever comes to mind, just answer as quickly as you possibly can. They're not hard at all. First question is, what's the best business advice you've ever received?
I would say don't give up. Don't give up. Keep going. One step in front of the next. There's going to be lots of failures, and just be persistent. It's not you versus anybody else. It's all about you versus you. Don't look at the outside people. Just try to incrementally be better than you were, and just keep taking that next step. Don't think about the end result. Enjoy the journey, and it's just keep going. Be persistent. I think having a very good mental attitude and self-development, continue to do that, and just keep pursuing. Don't give up.
Don't give up. What's the worst business or life advice you've ever received?
The worst business advice. I don't know if this is answering the question, but I've been a victim of this, which is over-trusting people, and the worst business advice.
Worst business or life advice. It doesn't have to be business. It could be about life as well.
For me, it was, alcohol and drugs, right? I used to, and it wasn't really advice, but just thinking that was kind of the cool thing to do, right? And growing up in South Florida and being around a lot of people that had money and different things like that, and I think at the end of the day, having faith, and I don't know if that's really answering the question, but worst advice, I'd have to think about that one.
We'll come back to it in the next time.
Yeah, okay.
But I did hear something about trust that verify, and that's why we have contracts in place. So I've been through my share of business partnerships, so I love to hear that. So don't trust, right? You can trust, but you can verify, and that's what contracts were invented to do.
Yeah, do your due diligence and spend time getting to know people. There's a lot of people that look pretty, talk pretty, wear suits and this and that, and yeah, get to know people, and have good agreements in place.
Love it. Next question, 2 more, and then we're done. I promise. What's one book, podcast, or YouTube video that every single inspiring entrepreneur needs to go ahead and read, listen to, or watch right now? The first thing that comes to your mind, my man. You don't have to think. These are rapid fire, so you don't have every answer is unique. So don't worry.
Me, The Secret.
Book or podcast or YouTube. Go ahead.
Yeah, I love the movie The Secret, and
The Secret.
I think The Secret, and learning to, the mind is such a powerful thing, and learning to be able to, whether you think you can or you think you can't, both answers are correct, right? And really learning to be able to tune in on that Most of the podcasts I read are payments related and stuff like that. Sorry.
No worries, that's
I'm not
fine.
gonna-
But the
I'm
secret,
not
the
gonna-
law of attraction, I 100% agree. I love it. Last question. What would you tell your 20-year-old self knowing what you know now? What would be the one thing that you can tell your 20-year-old self knowing what you know now?
Yeah, I would say choose your friends wisely. When they say you are the sum of the 5 people around you, and yeah, choose your friends wisely. And I'd say, try to stay out of the partying scene as much as you can. I had a lot of fun, but I definitely believe that it was a big setback and stuff like that. And just yeah, stay focused.
Stay focused. Love it.
Yep.
Chris, thank you so much for being here. How can people find you? Are you on Instagram? Are you on YouTube? Or is it Data One? Your website is the best way to get in touch?
Yeah, Data One MS is my website. I'm actually just putting up and launching my personal brand page, which I'm going to be talking mostly about a lot of things around the payment space, different interest in me. That's Chris Humphrey, CHRISHUMPHREY .official, OFFICIAL.
Love it, brother. I'll put it in show notes so people can follow you. Thank you so much for your time. I know this was one of your first, I think the first podcast
Yeah.
you've ever done. You did a
It was.
great job. I
Yeah.
want to bring you back in
Thank you,
because I
Anton.
think you have such a
Okay.
great story. But
Thanks.
for everybody else who's listening, thank you so much for tuning in. Let's continue still building. I'll see you in the next one.
All right, thank you, Anto.